recent years, there have been a few technologies, besides your obvious fusion and modular nukes, that have teased the general observer into thinking that perhaps they're just around the corner from commercialization. One of these is solid-state batteries, where progress is being made, but where we haven't seen commercialization yet. And if and when we do see it, EVs with 700-mile ranges may well be commonplace. One of the other areas has been the perovskite solar cell. What are perovskites? Well, they're cells made from the mineral perovskite, which is a calcium titanium oxide originally discovered in 1839 in Russia's Ural Mountains. The term now refers to a family of related compounds, and perovskites are promising in the solar industry because they can easily be deposited onto most types of surfaces, even flexible or textured ones. And they may also eventually help the industry cut costs. Thin layers of perovskite material can effectively capture certain spectra of sunlight that are not typically harvested by typical photovoltaic panels. So if you add perovskites on top of a conventional PV module to create a tandem layer cell, you can build a more efficient solar sandwich. But perovskites haven't been easy to work with in terms of creating a durable solution that matches the 20 to 25-year lifespan of the existing photovoltaics we see on rooftops and in massive utility-scale solar arrays. Perovskites have proven to be much more fragile, and they generally break down more quickly in the presence of high heat, high humidity, and UV light. Given their promise, though, researchers have been at this game for a while, and they persist. Back in 2022, I thought we'd finally reached the place where we were approaching commercialization when Swiss heterojunction solar module manufacturer Meyer Burger signed a multi-year cooperative agreement to develop tandem perovskite solar cell technology with the Swiss Center for Electronics and Microtechnology. Meyer Burger at that point had announced it had achieved a conversion efficiency, the rate at which it convert the energy of sunlight into electricity, of 29.6%, with a goal of building a factory to make the cells. Typical commercial photovoltaic cells, by the way, sit at about 22%, so this would have been a big deal. Then Meyer Burger went bankrupt, selling its assets and intellectual property to Swift Solar, a US-based company, which plans to continue the march forward. So we'll see what happens there. But in the meantime, announcements over the last few weeks have given us cause for rekindling some optimism. One company, Tandem PV, said recently it's building a 65,000 square foot factory in Fremont, California that will layer Tandem's perovskite glass over conventional panels to boost efficiencies into that 30% range. Tandem's current modules are only 25% as large as typical commercial panels, but its CEO says it has agreements to sell output to some of America's leading solar developers for field testing in harsh environments. If the trials pan out, then the company will punch out about 40 megawatts annually from its first factory. Still tiny in the scheme of things where a single utility-scale solar project can be larger by orders of magnitude. But this is more about proving up the manufacturing technique than building scale at this point. Skeptics for years have suggested that perovskite cells couldn't be manufactured on high-speed assembly lines, and Tandem's factory may prove to be a useful rebuttal. Last month as well, U.S. startup companies Calux and Solex announced a 5-year strategic partnership to integrate Calux's perovskite glass into Solex panels. Under their venture, the plan is to bring 3,000 megawatts of modules to market with an estimated conversion efficiency of around 28%. A beta version is already in the field with a U.S. developer, and the company's plan to deliver first commercial volumes by next year. Increasing efficiencies from 22 to 28 or 30%, it doesn't sound like much on the face of it. But if you can boost the relative performance of a panel by 25% or more, that can translate into cost savings, especially in terms of required land and racking structure. In addition to these commercial sector announcements, the Department of Energy on May 11th announced additional support for perovskites and moved its focus to commercialization. Yes, surprisingly, to me at least, the DOE is still doing some work on non-hydrocarbon energy technology. It has developed performance and durability targets for hybrid perovskite panels that will be finalized this year. It will also focus on testing that looks at that combination of heat, humidity, and light stressors. And the DOE will collaborate with national laboratories on creating a framework for bankability that will create greater confidence among potential investors and insurance companies. So after all these years, just maybe there's a there in the long promising and consistently vexing field of solar perovskites. This could be worth paying attention to. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.